Hey, Coach, just wanted to kind of get your assessment of Stanley's play through 3 games. I mean, he hasn't had one of those patented scoring nights like he's used to. He flirted with a double-double the other night. I know you mentioned his three-point defense. Just kind of what's your take on him through 3 games?
Sorry, Scotty, you were talking about Stanley Mude?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Stan's, obviously adjusting to a new system, a go-to player at South Dakota for Coach Todd Lee. So his role is kind of, it's a little bit different than what he was used to. He started some games. He's come off the bench. He's a guy that we try to run plays to because we think that he can, score the ball in the mid post, score the ball at the elbow. I think he's got to continue to utilize his mid-range game. I think at times maybe the 3-point shot, he's looked at that a little bit too much, but he did knock one down last game that I think helped build his confidence. But certainly from a versatility standpoint, Stanley's so vital to us both offensively and defensively.
And then, I'm not certain on the rule, but after Devo's ejection the other night, like, is he going to be available for the Kansas State game?
Yeah, yes, Devo's available, from start to finish for the game in Kansas City against Kansas State. So yeah, he's full go. Yeah.
Hutch?
Coach, you mentioned the other day after the game that you had some new 3-point defense drills. How has that gone? And how has the team kind of been receptive to it?
Well, Hutch, we weren't able to really practice yesterday, just because 2 guys played substantial minutes and Jalen's obviously nursing an ankle right now. Today here in a few minutes, we'll get down and introduce some new 3-point defensive drills and try to do a better job because actually, the strength of Kansas State is a 3-ball, Hutch. So guys like number 24 Pack and Smith, number 13, and 3 Miguel and 25, all those guys we're going to really have to contest their 3-ball as well as number 1 Noel. So it's going to be important that we get refocused here today, tomorrow, and then Sunday once we get to Kansas City and practice there in the building that we'll play at on Sunday.
Do you like facing a team that maybe is a good 3-point shooting team when you have something specific you want to improve, like to get a good test right out of the way, or would you have preferred to maybe face somebody who doesn't shoot the 3-ball as well as Kansas State does?
Well, if we face somebody who didn't shoot the ball well, we would make them shoot the ball well based on what we've done thus far. So certainly don't want to play a team that their strength is the 3-ball, because we have not exhibited at all that we understand the importance. Our whole pregame speech going into the Northern Iowa game was about closing out to 3-point shooters, and that didn't work. So we got to come up with some new methods to try to get our point across about defending that 3-point line.
Curtis?
Hey, Coach, what's the value and importance, I guess, of one, just being able to test yourself and kind of a tournament style environment, and 2, just being able to kind of get away from home and just, test yourself in that way before conference play?
No, I really like how our schedules played out. I really, really do. I mean, now we got a whole new group of guys. We're going to, you become much tighter and closer, and your bonding and your chemistry starts really formulating once you get on an airplane together. Once you get into a hotel together, you wake up, you eat breakfast, you have lunch, you have your pregame meal. And then after the game, you're back eating with the guys. So there's a lot of bonding that's going to take place where, you're going to start to really know each other better. You have a different roommate on the road than you're living with here. So a lot of good things are going to come about, playing these 2 games. But I like the fact that we played 3 games. We held serve here at home, did what we were supposed to do, figuring out roles and rotations a little bit better than what we knew going into the season. Now we have 2 neutral site games against 2 quality opponents, Power 5 opponents, and then we come back home for 4. So I think the schedule, that the way that we've worked on it is working out to our advantage. Having said that, we got 2 really good games, and if you don't come to play any of the 4 that are in this tournament, Curtis, you can come back 0-2 really, really quickly. And then it's, you can come back 1-1, and there's going to be, one team that comes back 2-0 and is really happy.
Thank you. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Curtis.
Bob?
Yeah, happy birthday, Eric. I guess it's 57, right?
57. Thanks, Bob.
You have to get like, hey man, 57's young. You have to get a Heinz 57 t-shirt or something. See you repping cross country for tomorrow. That's nice. You mentioned spurtability, I guess, on your radio show, and then after the game. What do you think is the key? Why are you guys good at putting runs together so far?
I think we have some streaky players, that can really score in bunches, to be honest with you, Bob. I mean, JD can score, 8 quickly. Stan can score quickly. Chris Likes can score quickly. Devo, we got a lot of guys that can hit you really, really quickly. And then with the pace we play at, and sometimes our shot selection, that allows you to play with spurts. Some teams that walk the ball up the floor or play a little bit slower, it's hard for those teams to go on scoring runs. It's a little bit easier, for teams that play with a little more pace to go on scoring spurts.
And then, how much does defense play in that? Like the other night, you guys got stops, in the open court. JD got a steal and got the ball to Jalen pretty quick for a dunk. How much does defense play into that too?
Yeah, no, I mean, defense plays a lot into, how quickly you can put points on the board. It's really hard to go on scoring runs or scoring spurts if you're not getting defensive stops and defensive rebounds.
Well, and open floor turnovers too, isn't that a big part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the live ball turnovers, creating steals, getting deflections. I mean, you're going to score at a really, really high clip on any live ball turnovers, especially the further or the closer they are to your rim and the further they are from the opponent's rim allows you to score, very, very quickly as well.
One more, Bruce Weber said he brought you into Illinois. I don't know, I'm guessing this is maybe between Sacramento and when you got into college coaching. He said he brought you in for a clinic, I guess, or demonstration, or so. He said you did a nice job. He still does some of the things that you talked about. Just wondering what you remember about that and kind of what you think of Bruce.
Coach Weber's, one of the best coaches in college basketball. He did ask me to come when he was at Illinois to, come and speak at one of his coaching clinics. And it was awesome to be around him and his staff. He's someone that I've looked up to, admired throughout his career. His teams always play hard. They really execute. They play with basketball IQ. He's one of the coaching legends in college basketball for sure. And I remembered, I didn't know he remembered that I came. I remembered him, having me come and ask me while I wasn't working, to come and speak. And it was an honor to speak to the group that he had coaching wise at that clinic.
So you don't think you're that memorable? I mean,
No, I didn't know if he remembered or not.
Okay, well, you seem to remember pretty well. And that was probably like 07, 08 or something like that.
I mean, it was in between one of the times I got fired, Bob. I can't remember if it was after the Warriors or Kings, or it was after one of those dismissals.
Oh, okay. Didn't mean to make a bad memory.
Nate?
But it was actually, Bob, it wasn't a bad memory. I was still getting paid.
Yeah, just about Pax and then the transfer from Wake Forest, just kind of what do they bring to K-State?
Yeah, 25, the Wake Forest transfer can really shoot. You got to give him no airspace, got to meet him early in transition. We'd prefer to make him floor it, put it on the deck. Don't want him to have any catch and shoot threes. If they run any roll and replaces or pick and pops, he's usually a guy involved in the shooting. Again, that's 25. And then Pack, number 24, one of the nation's best shooters, can really score the ball he is a guy that can score in spurts, can put points on the board in a hurry. Definitely a star type player in their conference. Had a great freshman year. We've got to we've got to all be alert to any time that Pack has the ball for sure. And then we have great respect, obviously, for 13 Smith, who played at Missouri and is strong at 6'5" at that 2-3 spot. So this is a good ball club because both their interior people, 20 and 21, both those guys can offensive rebound, and they do a good job protecting the rim. And then number 3 at that small forward position and 00, both those guys on the perimeter are good players as well. And then Noel comes off the bench at that point guard position, has good speed and can get them easy transition baskets as well.
Also playing 2 games in 2 days, just how much prep work can you do on Cincinnati and Illinois, if any?
Yeah, Nate, I mean, it's it kind of gets back to coaching in the NBA when you have back-to-back games. I mean, certainly we have a formula for how we will prepare, win or lose, for the next opponent. I won't start on them until after the Kansas State game is over. It's going to require the players in their hotel room, when they're not with us in video sessions or at team meals, for them to learn their opponent in a very, very short time on the second night. But right now, the sole focus is, how do we win on Monday night? And then who do we play on Tuesday? And then once we know who that opponent is, we'll start diving into our prep work. But it is very similar to playing in the NBA, where you have back-to-back games, and you've got to try to not overload your team with too much information, but give them, the things that are necessary from a preparation standpoint on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Coach, you got a follow-up?
Yeah, Coach, you said after the game that JD last year, the first half of the season, wasn't very good defensively, and now he's one of your top, shutdown defenders. Was there a specific moment where the light bulb went off for him, or was it more of a gradual development on that side of the ball?
No, I think it was a heightened urgency, Hutch, once we got to SEC play. And I think he took pride on hearing us talk about some of the guards we were playing, but also gradually as well. I think his sit-out year really, really helped from a development standpoint on understanding our concepts, understanding the importance of being a good team defender. But I really think, Andrew, when it kind of really, he saw the light of it was when he started crawling up and putting more pressure on people rather than playing at arm's length. I think he started being the aggressive defender instead of, letting the offense dictate. I think he's taken on the mindset that he would rather dictate what the offense does than the other way around. And I think as soon as he had that mentality, it really changed for him, Andrew.
Curtis?
Hey, just 2 quick ones for you, Coach. In playing those back-to-back games, does that change any of the thinking in terms of minutes or rotations, or is it just kind of that one game at a time mentality?
Yeah, it's for sure going to be one game with me. It's 40 minutes of how do we beat Kansas State. I'm not really concerned or worried about anything beyond that. I know some coaches will sub a little bit more, knowing that you have a game the next night. My philosophy is that's a good way to also lose 2 games in a row. You got one game right now that's the most important game. That's the game on your schedule. And the next opponent's Kansas State, and anything else to me right now is meaningless. Now, as soon as the final buzzer goes off against K-State, the most important game will either be Cincinnati or Illinois. And then we'll figure out, at that point, do we need to give guys, on the second night, an extra blow because they might have played a little bit more the first night. But if we have to play 5 guys 40 minutes to beat or compete against Kansas State, we'll play 5 guys 40 minutes and worry about the next game the next day.
And then with it being a neutral site, you'll probably have a pretty good crowd there. I know you don't have any control over the music at the T-Mobile Center, but does the warm-up routine travel at all, or is that Bud Walton specific?
Yeah, that's Bud Walton specific for sure. I mean, we're not going to We don't have control over the music. We understand that we're a neutral, site, and what basket we warm up, I have no idea right now. And so, for us, we're comfortable doing that in Bud Walton in front of our own fans. It's no different than my dad at Minnesota. They only did that at Williams Arena. So we'll leave that to our own fans, but we do expect to have a good crowd. I'm sure Kansas State will have a good following, and Illinois always travels well. And I can tell you from playing Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament a few years ago, they traveled as well as anybody that we had played in the NCAA tournament. So I think that it'll be a good environment, and I would expect the lower bowl to be fairly full. I don't know what the upper level will look like, but for sure the lower bowl, which is really what you want your players and the opposing team and the coaches, or you want that environment to feel like, kind of like a tournament NCAA type setting at being a neutral site.
Wyatt?
Coach, it's good to be on with you. I want to congratulate you on the run from last year. And with that said, I'm curious as to the challenges, even as long as you've been around the game, that you faced this year with so many new players. What are the challenges in that as you see it?
No, thanks, Wyatt. I mean, I think that, maybe the local guys have all heard me say it a lot. I mean, I think that just having a minor league background, where your best player gets called up on a 10-day contract, or 2 days after your best player gets called up, your second best player gets called up, and then maybe a week later, one of your players goes and takes a bigger contract in Europe, and all of a sudden your three best players are gone. You've got to adjust on the fly. You got to have adaptability. You've got to try to figure out as quickly as possible what your team's strengths and weaknesses are. You've got to figure out as quickly as possible what the best offensive and defensive schemes you can put together with your group, how much they can retain, how little they can retain, so on and so forth. And we're still trying to figure out, Wyatt, who we are. We're not really sure exactly what our identity is, but we have been able to kind of plug holes. Didn't rebound early, turned the ball over too much. Our assist to turnover ratio was upside down. We've kind of solved all those pieces to the puzzle, at least in a short sample size. But now, can we continue to evolve and get better at things that we haven't done well, which is defend the 3-point line, and maybe, we could be better scoring in transition than what we have been. We've been putting points on the board, but we've also allowed too many points not to go on the board, whether it be, 13 missed paint points the other night. So we got a lot of things that we can continue to get better on, Wyatt.
I appreciate it, man. And we'll see you in Kansas City. Safe travels.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You betcha.
Final question, Bob.
Hey, Eric, with Florida beating Florida State the other day, they got in the poll. So I think there's 6 SEC teams in now. And, you're going to be playing a Big 12 team, maybe a Big 10 team. AAC is real good if you play Cincinnati. Do you kind of feel like you guys are carrying the SEC banner into this thing? You want to represent, obviously want to represent Arkansas, but want to represent the SEC as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting that, the pride, like right now, we're tonight, Alabama plays. So, we're going to watch the Alabama basketball game as a staff, and we're going to be rooting for Coach Oates and the Crimson Tide to win tonight, because that helps our league. And last night I'm watching South Carolina, and it's kind of weird. Like you're rooting for South Carolina and you're rooting for these SEC schools, to win. You're watching the Missouri game last night, Coach Martin, and yeah, you want to beat them and you want to scout them and all that. But right now, you really need people in your conference to win. That becomes the utmost importance in it. And when do you feel that? You feel that on Selection Sunday. I think we're all competitive. We all want to beat one another, but right now is a time that you certainly want your league to do really, really well. I've heard other coaches say, well, I don't want someone in our league to have momentum. That's all a bunch of baloney. I mean, we want everybody in our league to win every single night unless we play them. and until we get to conference time. So yeah, we're rooting for every SEC team, and we hope that we can represent our conference in this tournament to the best of our ability. And I mean, I got a text today from someone in the WCC talking about, what their league is doing to some Mountain West teams. So I think that this time of year, like, you've got to take great pride in your conference.
Yeah, Bruce Weber talked about being familiar with your dad's routine, and he mentioned Crazy George, who I think was that the unicycle guy, Crazy George? Anyway, he mentioned.
Man, Coach Weber's got an awesome memory. That is so cool. So Crazy George is known as the world's greatest ball handler. True story. He played for my dad at Ashland College, and then he transferred, one of the first transfers ever. And he couldn't play. He couldn't make a jump shot, couldn't make a layup, but he was the world's greatest ball handler. He could spin the ball on every finger, could spin the ball off his toes. And Crazy George, to this day, is still working in the basketball world. He works for the Dallas Mavericks G League team, the Texas Legend, and does a lot of pregame, postgame, halftime, does a lot of marketing off the floor, going into schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's amazing. Coach Weber would remember Crazy George because he was somebody special. It was Mike Munson that rode that unicycle. And both those guys were on scholarships, by the way.
There must have been more scholarships back then.
No, only 13, but my dad only needed 7 to play. So he figured he could use a unicycle guy and a guy spinning the ball on his toes. He would use 2 scholarships up on those guys. The ultimate entertainment coach.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate your time.
Anybody got anything else? I don't want to feel rushed. I still got 9 minutes and 48 seconds till I got to go to practice. We good?
You mentioned, you brought up Mark Smith.
See, don't listen to Mike Kaywood. What do you got?
I'm not knocking Mike. It's just you sound like you want us to ask you more stuff, like you're.
No, the players don't want me down there.
Okay. You mentioned Mark Smith. You're obviously familiar with him. What do you think about him as a player? I guess he's averaging 7 boards after 2 games.
I mean, Smith can really rebound the ball. He's got good strength. He's got good body. He's got good size. He's not afraid of contact. That's not a surprise at all. I thought he was a really good player last year in our league. I think that the way Coach Weber's using him is advantageous to him. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a good line drive, dribble drive guy as well. He can absorb contact. Certainly a guy that we've discussed with our ball club. He's on our scouting report. Our antennas are up on Smith for sure.
Okay. Anything else on your mind?
Not really.
Did you get a good birthday present? Did you get a good birthday present yet?
I haven't got, my son got me some sour gummies. He had them on my desk. My wife told me that we'll celebrate later tonight after practice. So, not really. I got some pretty cool text messages for some former players. I'm not sure what Danielle's got up her sleeve. Hopefully we got she'll get me something good. Maybe a Mitch's Surf Shop hoodie. That would be about the best gift I could ask for.
Sorry, what's that?
Mitch's Surf Shop out of La Jolla, California. The best hoodies ever.
Oh, hoodie. Okay. Yeah. Maybe she'll get you a t-shirt. You don't have enough t-shirts, do you?
All right, you guys, thanks.